At socialsecurity.gov, you can apply for retirement, disability, or Medicare from your own home.
Chekhov applied in his pajamas.
Who says crafting is a dying art? I'm finding crafters all over the Middle Tennessee area who make unique items that'll be passed down for generations to come. Welcome to HandMade Tennessee. I'm Kimberly Vance, and our special guest today is Carol Neal. Thank you so much for coming, Carol. We sure do appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Kimberly. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Now, I'll tell you what, I have never in my life seen all the wonderful artisans and crafters around this area. I have to admit, I've not seen anything that even compares to your work.
Well,
it is so unique.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Where in the world did you decide to start collecting things? I guess is the beginning. Where did you decide? Were you just walking down the road and you saw a bottle cap that intrigued you and you thought, well, hey, I'm going to make some art out of that?
Well, I'm an art person anyway. I'm with the school system. I teach. I also have an art degree. So I've always done a lot of different types of art and have been formally trained. But I got into this with Young Scholars Institute. Jimmy Haley and I had some kids down at an old site digging up things to teach them archaeology. And
it just clicked.
Yes, we did little things with the kids, and then I just started making things. They just spoke to me, and I love to do it. I just love to do it.
Wow. So now do you have people who say, you know, I found some garbage that you might like?
Oh, yes. They may break something beautiful, but instead of crying, they think of me. So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So
do you actually take collections of stuff, or is it just pretty much from your friends?
Well, most of the things that I use, the china, the glass, are things that I've actually dug up from an old place where things were dumped for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that's where they come from. And when they start out, they look about like this. Mm-hmm. They look exactly like this. Very, very dirty.
Oh, wow.
Very encrusted. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt to me because I don't see it the way it is. I see it the way that it could be.
Now, did you say this came from the river cleanup?
This particular one, Jimmy Haley brought me from the river cleanup.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of good things in here. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, you would see this. This is an old enamel thing. But once it's cleaned up, it would make some great angel wings on a sculpture.
Ah!
And
wow.
I love bed springs. A lot of metals don't last because the bed springs make wonderful halos.
Oh, how cute. Look at your imagination. That is amazing. When I see this, I think, uh-oh, tetanus shot if I step on it.
You can't believe how many times I've been asked if my tetanus shots were up to date, because I do get cut. I got it last night.
I noticed your bandage there on your thumb.
Right.
Wow, this is something else. Now, how do you go about preserving the piece if it's you know, if it's something that's maybe a little bit more fragile than some of the harder glasses?
Well, the first thing that I would do to clean this up is I'll probably just soak it in water for a day or so. And then I fix hot soapy water, and then I soak it some more, and then it's just toothbrush and hard work. So, my son has helped me clean up a lot of different things.
So if, for example, something like this, you had this and you broke off a little piece, That's just more art.
Right, but I try not to break them. I try to use them just like I find them. That's one thing that's kind of different about my work as other mosaic type artists. And I do work where I grout things in, but the reason I don't on these things is they are so old and they have so much patina. They've been in the earth or in the water for decades. And some of the pieces are like pioneer pieces that were brought over and broke. So if I grout it, I'm losing that patina that nature and God adds to it. So I keep it. So if I could reach over and show you, like on the angel here.
That is an outstanding piece.
This is one of my favorites. This is one I don't plan to part with. But we saw the rusty bed spring, and see, that's what this is made out of.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes I can get a hold of old screen, and it makes good wings. And
now, what is all this? This looks like old cups.
Cups, glasses, dinner plates, medicine bottles.
Look at that.
But
oh, that's adorable.
I try not to break anything. I use it like I find it, and then shape it around. So if you looked at the edge of something, you'll see it's I don't know if they can get this on the camera, but it's very dark there because it's weathered.
Oh.
And see, the weathering adds to it. So that's why I try not to break it and use it as I find it.
Wow. So you've just built that up.
Yes, I just started with a cone structure, and it's a sculpture, and I've built it up. And then I like old buttons. But you know, you learn a lot about our past from this. For one thing, you know, we live in a throwaway generation now, but I find like there's a piece of milk glass in there, and you can see some here, but our cosmetics and things came in those. And
that's gorgeous.
All of that was like glass. So like when we teach the children, we'll say, you know, people aren't going to be digging up your things someday because they're, you know, it's just styrofoam and paper.
Now this right here is an incredibly interesting piece also. This looks like, what is this piece of wood? It kind of looked like a nutcracker at first.
Well, it's the bottom of a column. So you had a round column. It came off a Victorian house in Nashville. And a man down there was doing some renovations, and he gave it to me because he knew about my art and thought I could do something with it. And of course, I went berserk. I went and got a round mirror cut to go inside of it, and then I have a big box of old bottle caps. And so I put bottle caps and buttons, and see, then it reflects back and you get all that depth. And then the N is for Neal because we're the Neals. So,
or for nice.
Well, for nice. And when I do mirrors, I like to spray them with like a semi-gloss so they're not garish and bright.
Yes.
And it fades it down. But this N is a Park Theater letter. A big amount of them were thrown into a dumpster, and Mr. Haley and
oh, that is neat.
Rescued them.
Wow.
So I did that in there.
These bottle caps, I'm sure that you have an absolutely, probably invaluable bottle cap collection.
Oh, I have a nice big box. Sometimes I get things local, but I eBayed those, and that was my parents wanted to know what I wanted for my birthday, and a massive box of bottle
caps.
Well, they weren't surprised. They know how I am.
That was probably like Christmas for you then.
Right.
I mean, it was like.
It was. So that, you know, that saved that column. It gave a new use for the old bottle caps, and I'm unfortunately old enough to remember when you open pop, so I like it. And then the Park Theater too, if you wanted.
Oh yes, the Park Theater.
We could show them that.
Still going.
We could show them that one.
Let's do while we're still speaking on the Park Theater.
These are letters from the Park Theater, and Imagine, and I like different size letters. I think it's more funky and fun, but it's Imagine, which is my favorite word.
This is a very fun piece, and again, some more of the great bottle caps. Wow, look at that. That is gorgeous. Now, what about the picture frame? Was this also a find?
Well, I don't find them, but I buy them antique or rummage sales, or people give them to me. But this was a local picture frame, so I cut the wood to go into it.
That is just outstanding.
I love old frames if I can get old frames. If they're not old, then I beat them up and make them look old. But I like old ones so I
Age
can
them very
get them.
quickly. I say that rummage sales are an excellent source of things like that.
Right.
All right, now what about this? You really have, this has a lot of texture to it. Now, what did this piece say to you?
Well, but this
What
piece,
did you start with on
I
this
started with the mirror.
Okay.
I picked the mirror up somewhere. It was the old wooden mirror. And I went home, and it's just that reflectiveness, and I started looking at some of my colorful things. And I had recently found this Gulf, and I thought about our old gas stations, Sinclair and Gulf, and they're not around anymore. So I just started working with it, and I call it looking back, because we have all our memories, and we look back, but we can't see all of them, and we can't always see them clearly. So that's kind of what that represents to me.
That gave me cold chills.
Well, but that's what that represented to me. And you know, sometimes you can just go back and add more things. If you find another little treasure, you can pop it in there.
Now, this piece right here is a little bit different, I think, from the other pieces. What do we have here?
You have a piece of woodwork out of an old house here in Mate-Mimble that was being restored.
Right here? Okay.
That's the wood, and I just mounted it on a canvas. I like to build things up. But my dad has an old farm that goes way back before the Civil War, and he found this old rusty piece here and gave it to me because he knows to give me things. And I just kind of looked at it, and I just saw this little body. So I call it my Rocky Top angel, like Rocky Top, Tennessee, and then rusty metal and screen, and then I paint different things on here like the sun and the moon.
Oh,
so
that's neat.
the Rocky Top angel.
I love that. When
you.
I was talking to somebody, we were talking about the items that you make and stuff, and they said, you know, when she even takes a walk, if she finds a piece of broken glass, she's subject to pick it up as she's walking.
Oh, yes, and put it in my pockets. So a lot of times I have dirt in my pockets, but I don't think anyone's surprised at that that knows me. So
this right here, now this is, all of your pieces are absolutely unique, and they are all one of a kind.
I could make two exactly like if I wanted to.
If somebody said, I have to have one of these, it would have to be something similar, because you just could not replicate it.
And sometimes I sort my things by color, but by category if I'm thinking about a work of art. So I have one tub that just has handles in it. And this one I kind of made for myself. It says, just handle it. Just to remind yourself to quit being a baby and whining and just handle the things you need to handle in life. But the old cafe, this one is way back in the 1800s. It's just a very, very old piece.
Now, did you find these at your dump site you were talking about?
Yes, dug them all up.
Isn't that? I wonder how long the dump site has been there. Did you say since the 1800s?
Well, some of the pieces are that old. I don't know how long they've been dumping there, but you might have something that breaks that's 50 years old, and if it goes into the fill in the 1930s,
It's still there.
yes, so you can tell that that's like the older ironware, and these are the cafe cups, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s.
I love these. You know, when I was little, I remember seeing everybody drink out of these cups.
Right.
This really brings back fun memories.
Yeah, and
Very
see,
fun.
look here, I've got a new one to add to my collection.
Oh, wow. That is so neat.
From the river.
Isn't that something?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I love that. Now, this right here, that is adorable. What are these?
I dug a lot of those up. The old canning jars with the zinc lids had glass liners in them, and that's what those are.
Oh.
And an old clothespin, and then I just added the other things to make the butterfly. And I like to paint the frames. I like the frame to be part of the art. So if you look at my frames, they're painted, the whole thing is sealed into like one piece of art.
Oh, that's neat. And an old
Thank you.
clothespin. So it doesn't matter, I guess if you're looking for stuff, it doesn't matter if you recognize what it actually was, what its function was. You just look at it from the artistic standpoint of what is it going to be now.
Yes, but for the people who look at it, they get a kick out of finding things that they'll say, I remember my granny had dishes like that. I remember we used to can and use these. You know, they find little pieces in there and they enjoy looking at it and talking about it. And I enjoy listening to them
Hear
do that.
about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is something else.
Because you learn so much about the history. And see, like this is a butterfly, but this is an old spool from one of the you know, the mills, you know, the thread was on them.
Yeah.
But this is on its way to being a dragonfly.
Oh, yeah.
See.
Oh, that's going to be cute.
I've just been laying out the board to work on that. So
Now, when you studied and got your art degree, did you study this, or was it painting? Or
my
just,
concentration was on painting.
wow.
On painting.
So I guess you learned a lot about colors and textures, and obviously that spilled over into this.
Right, because it's kind of like painting with glass. So, like if we wanted to look behind us at the angel that's behind us, there's paint on there, but it's like the glass is painting for you too, you know, because you shape that out. I did this, I had to borrow that back from a friend. I only have time to make about one of these a year that have all these hundreds and hundreds of pieces.
Is it because of the color scheme that you do, or is it because it's very time consuming?
Very
obviously?
time consuming,
Okay.
because it's all fit. If you were doing a regular mosaic, you can put them down and leave lots of spaces, but everything has to fit and sculpt. You know, I'm after
Wow.
dimension on that. But I kind of did this in honor of our bicentennial. I call it the Look Into the Hills, because I think Warren County has been so blessed with beautiful land and good rich land, and then we have our nursery business, so this is like a dogwood tree. So I did all
homage
of
to
that.
That's neat.
And
That is beautiful.
my friend Alice Foreman let me borrow it back. I went and got it this morning so I could bring it. So.
That was nice. Now, this piece right here, I was telling you, this is so appealing to me.
Oh.
I just love that. Did you have to find, when you were thinking, I would like to make a fish, was that the case? Or did you just start creating?
Well, on this one, I actually made this one for my husband, and I had this nice old walnut frame. So this is like a folk art fish shape that I've designed and used in some other art that I have. And I just kind of I've got a tub of the clear green glass, and then I have green, and I just started fooling with it and made it that way because it was for him.
Now, are a lot of the green pieces, are they old old soft drink bottles?
Yes.
Wow. Do they even make those anymore?
I think they still, if you
they?
go to some of the stores, they have the little,
Some of
it. But right, and then you might notice some like the little dishes and other little green things. But some medicines, a lot of things were in green bottles.
Are you able to date a lot of the pieces that you find?
Well, sometimes, because I've always liked to collect old things, and then sometimes I will ask someone like Jimmy Haley, because we work with the young scholars together, and he knows a lot about things. So if I ask him, he gives me information.
Like it was a certain era?
And gives me things to make things. He's a great resource.
Awesome. Well, would you care to give us a little demonstration and show us a little bit about how you create?
All right, I will do that. Well, here I've brought, this is a shingle off the side of an old house, way over 100 years old. The house is gone, but there are some of these shingles that were given to me, and I put things on these sometimes and just usually put like a little wire hanger on them. But I like this because you learn things about the past. You scrub it and the old coal dust comes off because people used to hit with gold, and then you've got the alligator paint. But if you really look at it, you just kind of naturally have a hill here or something.
That does, that is the paint, isn't it? And you just leave that. See.
Oh, no, I would want to leave that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? See, where
leave
most,
that.
if I was cleaning this piece of wood, I would be determined to scrape that off.
Oh, no, I want to use that.
Wow.
So,
every aspect of that is art.
right. The cleaning is hard. So I just went to my studio because I was trying to think what would be that I could bring. My things are so heavy. So I pre-picked some stuff, but I got in a tub of things, and I have this old comb, and I just looked at it and I thought, gee, that would be a pretty good little angel wing. So
Angels
I started with that.
kind of your specialty, aren't they?
They're kind of my specialty, yes. And then I thought, well, we need a face, and this old button made
It's
a
so
good
funny
face.
because when I see this, I think there is a old beat up comb. That is something
An
else.
old beat up comb that combed somebody's head here in Warren County. See?
That's neat.
Somebody's coat button maybe your grandmothers or my grandmothers or great-grandmothers. You don't know. These have all belonged to people. They're handled by people. This is our heritage here, all of these things when you get to looking at them. So
now, what do you use to actually fasten? Do you have a certain product that you use to fasten?
Well, I use a glue in a tube. I don't use hot glue. I can't stand those strings, and I have to be able to kind of move them around, so I don't want it to dry real quick. I want something really strong, so you need a glue, one of these flammable type that may be giving me brain damage. I don't know,
right.
but that's what I use.
Go crazy later on what happens.
Yeah. So anyway, I start with that, and then I want like a halo kind of effect. So I'll look for another one to put behind it. You see, like that. And then I look for something to start a body. So I found this kind of curved piece. And I'm working upside down, so kind of bear with me there. So maybe I would want that there. Okay. And then something to go here, maybe to get the next phase on the body. I've got a long piece, so I need a narrow angel, not a wide angel. And then here's another one to go down at the bottom. So I kind of look at that and I thought, well, it's covering up more of that than I want it to cover up, because I really like that to show. So I'm going to slide that down a little bit. And again, you can see I did not break these. This is how I found them. So the edges are very, very old and like that. Now, one thing about these, though, you don't want to leave them out in the weather, because they're glued and grouted in, so you kind of have to be mindful of that. So I might do that, and then slide this back under, and then if it doesn't have enough height, I'll take another, like a button that I probably wouldn't use that wouldn't be old, and I'll give it a little more height.
Okay.
See, it's just sculpting. You get that under there.
Just sculpting. To you, it's just sculpting.
Sculpting, yeah.
Now, speaking of that, on a different subject a little bit, we were talking about some of your paint work, and you were telling me that you had painted the, I guess it's the whole wall up by the old city drug.
Well, it's not the whole wall. There's two doors that are closed in that aren't there anymore. So Penny and Junior Medley had me faux the doors, and that was really fun to do. I do murals sometimes, and so I went up in the top of that old city drugstore and found the original doors. They're up there, and I sketched them off, and I went down, and one of them is the original screen door, faux, on, and the other is the original wood carved door. So I painted that on and put the original store was the Hutchins, and that's all on there. And Junior and Penny have a black and white cat, so he's looking out of the screen door. And then the lady that posed for the original Sunbeam bread lives here in Warren County.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
So that's why we chose Sunbeam to be across there, and that's her picture I painted there. But that was a fun project.
Well, I told you that we had seen that. We were walking because we like to walk uptown and just see, all the progress that's being made with the restorations and stuff. And I had no idea that you had painted that. It is absolutely adorable.
I do a lot of different things. I don't do airbrush. I have men sometimes want me to airbrush. That's too mechanical. I don't do that. But like I did the cover for Miss Addie Lee cookbook, and now she's doing a Christmas cookbook, Addie Lee Fultz, and I'm working on her design for the new cookbook for her. And so I like it when people find different things for me to do. It makes me better, I think. It makes me better.
It does. It makes you feel like you've got a sense of accomplishment, I'm sure.
Now, are you starting to see the spirit of this little thing? There she is. Now, see, I like keys. Keys are symbolic. Key to knowledge, key to heaven. So I throw in keys a lot. But see, I wanted to show the face up more, so I would just take maybe some buttons in whites and tans, and this is where the color training comes in, because see, I've got like yellowy tans but lighter, so there's not anything random about my work, I guess is what I'm saying. Every piece that's on anything that I do is very well thought out. That's where I spend my time. It's not random.
Is it in the thought process?
It is. It's not assembly line, but even like the little buttons to go around that, I pick
that's
lighter
cute.
and darker tones to
balance it out.
That's right.
That is so cute.
That's right.
Now, you were telling me about this blue glass here.
Oh, the Carrera glass. Uptown in McMinnville, during I guess in the 40s and 50s, they put a lot of the Carrera glass, the glass fronts up there, and some of that's been tore off, or it burnt down, and there are pieces of it. So if I get a hold of some, and you have to be careful because you can get cut. But anyway, you can take pieces, and it's real good to write words. At the Heritage Alliance Museum, we've got the museum, or if you've been to the city, where City Bank was, where the city offices, we've got the McMinnville Digs history up there that's done in this kind of stuff. And
that's wonderful.
I help them work
display.
on that. But see, the lettering is in that Carrera glass.
I'll tell you what, and if I'm not mistaken, they just don't make a glass like this anymore. You just can't find something that this...
I don't know, but this was headed to the dumpster. So it got rescued.
Wow.
So I'm just, if I wanted to, I make a lot of crosses too. So I would just start, like this is already, put in here. I might find a nice button. I have to get my glasses here. Like this one's got lions on it. And then you can just start your pieces and see if you can make it come out to be whatever you want to be.
See, now that's cute, just like that.
It can be, and then you can add, smaller pieces. But I use nippers sometimes too, like in an old pillowcase, because you have to
keep the glass from shattering.
Yeah, because it'll just cut you wide open. So anyway, you can start, kind of fooling with that, and then add more paint and add to the frame, because again, the frame would be part of the art.
That blue is just outstanding. Wow, I'll tell you what, this is absolutely amazing. This is truly, I guess, what you might call turning trash into very valuable historic treasure.
Oh, well, thank you.
Definitely. Well, we can pick up some of your pieces and see more of your artwork at your place, Highland Rim Music and Art.
On
You
our
have
Chancery.
some nice display pieces over there. And this is not all you do. As we've noticed, you do a lot of different stuff.
Thank you. I like to do it.
And check out some of the beautiful pieces. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks to our very special guest, Carol Neal. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm Kimberly Vance, and I hope that you've been inspired to create your own handmade Tennessee. If you enjoyed today's show, check us out on Facebook for other shows and information at www.facebook.com/HandmadeTennessee. You can also email us your comments or suggestions to handmadetn@bltv.net.